Well, the NRL season is nearly upon us. That is the new 2024 NRL season. I think it feels like a very, very long time since that epic grand final between the Panthers and the Broncos. We haven't really had much. I mean, there's been International Rugby League, but yeah, it certainly has been a very, very long time, and kind of almost forgotten where everyone is. So yeah, with that in mind, it is time to briefly look forward to the 2024 NRL season. Now, look, firstly things first, I'm not really going to go into too much depth, perhaps like other YouTubers, just simply because I haven't quite got the time to research other teams. I've had a brief sort of glance at the NRL signings trackers, the movements across, and let's be honest. I think it's not, it is really just speculation, and I don't really want to go into that. But I will share some thoughts. What is important, of course, to note is that the start to the season is going to be quite different from previous years. Of course, You've got the Vegas games, of course, with the Manly Seagulls, South Sydney Rabbitohs, and the Sydney Roosters and the Brisbane Broncos kicking off their season a week before everyone else. They'll be playing at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. That, of course, was the venue for the recently completed Super Bowl 58. And so, yes, there has been a lot of promo. I mean, there have been ads about, football, about pads, that sort of thing. I haven't really haven't really received much news about how ticket sales have gone. I imagine they're going reasonably okay. I certainly don't think it will sell out like the Super Bowl. Because let's be honest, that is apples and oranges. But I mean, if they could, I mean, what was the average attendance for Las Vegas Raiders games last season? I mean, if they can get 3/4 of that, I think that should be good. I think looking at the 2023 NFL football attendance records. Just having a look, Vegas, they had an average attendance of 62,190, so I don't think there's going to be 60,000 fans to watch NRL. That could very well be. In that case, that would be a huge success for the NRL, but I think if they're getting like maybe 40,000, I think that would be a very, very good start. Look, there'll obviously be Australians going to watch this. There'll certainly be particularly like Manly, Brisbane, Sydney, those fans coming through. It's a shame they didn't. Maybe next year they should do a Canberra Raiders. They should bring the Canberra Raiders, since there are, of course, Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe they just avoided that, but who knows? But so we shall see. I guess that kicks off at the start of March. So the March would be a perfect time, I guess, because NFL season's finished, UFL hasn't started, and then we're sort of on the cusp of March Madness. That's the NCAA basketball tournament, and of course, NBA, NHL playoffs haven't started. So it's a good time, really, for the NRL just to try and sneak in. Of course, this is a little bit of a quiet window post Super Bowl. We shall see what happens. So, look, I think the one thing I would probably spend most of my time talking about would be the Warriors, for obvious reasons. If you can see the screen, I've got 2009 Auckland Rugby League top, the fashion that is. Look, I think it's got to be said. Look, this season to 2024 is going to be it feels like a year where the Warriors are, in fact, pretty much chucking all their eggs into one basket. I mean, you've got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck after his failed stint with the All Blacks is back with the Warriors. It looks like he'll be playing in the centres, because we've got Charlize Nicole-Colstott already playing fullback. I guess it remains to be seen if he can capture that Dally M form before he went to the All Blacks, before he tried rugby union. Certainly in centres, I think he is a quality player, a very fine, talented footballer. I just think his transition to rugby union just was kind of doomed from the start because it sort of came. The timing was bad. Like he didn't. Firstly, he came over when in the right in the middle of a pandemic, and so right in the middle when Auckland was in lockdown, all the Auckland NPC teams pulled out the NPC team, so he had really no rugby before going into Super Rugby, and I think that was a huge expectation. He was going to be an All Black, just a bit like Sonny Bill Williams. So it just did not pan out. He missed out on the 2023 Rugby World Cup squad. So he's going back to familiar settings. He's a huge Warriors icon, and I think he'd be desperate to refine his form. Certainly in a game that's I think that would probably suit him more. So yeah, so look, and then of course there's a talk about Sean Johnson. The question marks about whether whether the Warriors would give him an extension. At the moment, it seems lighting like it's like this is probably going to be it for the Warriors. So if we can get them to a grand final at least, maybe win it, it's of course goals to win it. Every team, every club's goal is to win the NRL grand final. But it is, the NRL is a tough competition, and it's Sean Johnson's been there, of course, and he, we didn't quite make it. That was about talking about 13 years ago. So still a quality player. Look up there with Stacey Jones as one of our best playmakers, and I think he, I think look the Warrior, and of course you've got Dalian. You've got DZW, you've got you've got all that talent. DWZ, sorry, it's been a while, and so it is. There is a lot of that talent there. My big loss, I think, is losing Josh Curran to the Bulldogs is a bit of a blow, because he's he's considered one of the the hard men in for the in the Warriors. He's been super consistent. I think the Bulldogs are the Bulldogs are gonna benefit really well from him. Couple besides Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I think look, we've got Chanel Harris-Tavita coming back to the Warriors. So he'll be covering in the halves positions behind. I think Metcalf will be the first choice given how well he's performed. You've got Kurt Capewell who's come on from the Broncos. Solid player. I mean, most of these, the Warriors have very good. Seem to have this, Queenslanders that come over. You're thinking, Luck, Price, all those guys. They've, they're Queenslanders. They always seem to do pretty well. The Warriors, so it'll be, Capewell is 30, so he's not exactly a spring chicken, but I think they just got, if we can get one or two good seasons with him, then that's a successful trade. I think the key will be obviously addressing the loss of Fanua Blake for 2025. And that Fanua Blake is going to be in the same window as Sean Johnson. So as I said, it's going to be last chance saloon. Fanua Blake, of course, going back to Australia. He has been absolute rock for the front row. A superb player, but has family back in Australia and has been really keen to go back there. So he's returning in 2025. So this could be one. This for I think for Fanua Blake, for Sean Johnson, likely it's going to be a bit of probably last chance saloon. And so look, I mean the Warriors have always said for the last nearly 30 years that it's going to be their year. I think more so in 2024 that it has to be their year. I think, look, I mean, we finished top 4 in a season when we weren't, it was considered a transition season. But look, I mean, as long as, we cope, if we're not hit by injuries to key personnel, then, there's no, we really should be at least emulating what we did last season. And I think looking at the competition, I think, yes, it is very close, but I think we've shown a lot that, that we're much better competing in Australia now. Our home form is really, really good. You've got a team culture that has never been, hasn't been as good since the Ivan Cleary days. So look, I don't want to raise expectations, unnecessarily, but I think if you're a Warriors fan, you've got to feel really, really good about this season. And fingers crossed this could maybe this is our year. So we shall have to see. I think if we make the final, that would be, at least making the final. What happens in getting to the dance, or whatever happens, we just have to see. But I think we are definitely, certainly top four material, and yeah, certainly finalist material there. So that is my prediction for the One New Zealand Warriors. Yeah, so quickly shout out on a couple. I mean, look, obviously we got, you can't, you obviously, it is very in terms of favorites to win the competition, you can't look any further than the Penrith Panthers. They've been, three in a row now. They're in dynasty form, and I guess the big question now, of course, they're starting to lose a couple of their key players who formed that dynasty. I think for a big one, of course, is Stephen Crichton, the Samoan winger, who's been very, very consistent. He's gone to the Bulldogs. They've got Jerome Luai going in 2025, so they will have one more season with him. And I guess the question is, are we starting to see the end of the Penrith dynasty? A lot of other NRL fans, non-Penrith fans, are kind of hoping it is. I guess just to see that change. And look, at times in 2023, it looked like the Penrith Panthers dynasty was in serious doubt. But they came back and won the NRL Grand Final, or whether perhaps some might say the Broncos lost it. Nevertheless, they are still the team to beat. I put them as the favourite still. You've got, when they have, as long as they've got Nathan Cleary there, he's fit. All those key players, Dylan Edwards, all the, Jerome Luai, I'm sure wants to bow out on a high. Look, it is not really any point for me naming individual players apart from Nathan Cleary, because this is truly an outstanding team, and I think they will still set the standard for the Panthers. And I guess the only other team I'm hoping the Warriors could challenge them. Yeah, but realistically, I'm thinking the Broncos would probably be the stiffest challenge. Look, Kevin Walters has really rebuilt the Broncos. I mean, you got to remember, only 4 years ago they had fallen so far. That seemed like the rebuild was going to take, but look, it was taking a long time. But look, the Broncos probably. Some Broncos fans say they probably should have won the grand final last year, but they just let it slip against an experienced Panthers team, and maybe experience is the key. Having Reece Walsh back seems to have really triggered this renaissance in Brisbane. And there's a lot of good young players in that Broncos team. Of course, you've got Billy Walters, the son of Ken, and Reynolds. So many good players in there, and I think they should finish second game. I think they have got. I think the other thing, of course, they haven't particularly. I mean, they've lost Kurt Capewell to the Warriors, but he was on the 30s, and I think he was probably a player who was kind of on the outer anyway. So. Look, if it's, I guess, taking away the Warriors lens, if there was a team I was going to pick, it would be the Broncos to win the NRL. And I think, given the lessons that they've learned, I think, Kevin Walters, of course, has that winning pedigree as Maroons coach. I think this is going to be set up as a big season for the Broncos to possibly start yet another dynasty in the capital city of Queensland. The rest of the competition is, I mean, there's not, like, it is going to be so close. I can say, though, I would rule out the West Tigers, because, I mean, given the turmoil that's at the club, they've sacked the entire board. It'd be a miracle if they didn't finish with the wooden spoon again. Canterbury Bulldogs, I think, have made some really good signings, and I think they may sneak into the top 8. But again, I would probably be looking at them just missing out. Dragons, Titans, to a certain extent, the Dolphins. I think. I mean, the Dolphins were the darling story at the start of last season, but ultimately the experience just caught up and they just missed out completely. I think there's probably going to be expectation that they're going to try and make it. They kind of have to justify that expansion franchise. But I guess the only concern is that so that everyone knows what they are now, And so I'm not, I think they might very well struggle this season. Of course, I think there's a bit of question marks about whether Wayne Bennett's future as well. He's looking to join the Kiwis. Yeah, look, I think if you were for me. And I'm just going to pull out names. I think it's going to be ultimately really, really tight, and that's the whole beauty of the NRL. Sharks going to be defensive, it's good, and they've got Nico Hines. They're going to be, they're going to be probably sleeper hit for the top, fourth place. Melbourne Storm are going to be there because no matter how many players they've changed, and they're going to get, hopefully they'll get a fit Pappenhausen, and that would make an enormous difference to the Melbourne Storm. They're certainly not quite the team that they were, but I think that the Melbourne Storm are always consistently there. And then there's Newcastle, of course. They've got the reigning Dally M player, rather controversially, and Kalen Ponga. A bit like the NFL's honors thing, but let's not talk about that. But yeah, look, the Newcastle Knights were sort of like the darlings of the playoffs. They hadn't, of course, been relevant for some time, and then now they've really gradually built this team that's been really good. No Mitchell Pearce, he's gone. He's gone overseas now, but yeah, they've. Look, certainly with Kalen Ponga, they've got a whole lot of good young players who would benefit in the experience from making the playoffs last season. So yeah, maybe they might make a step up. And then you've got your Cowboys, the Eels, who are really up and down. I think maybe Eels, of course, didn't even make the playoffs. Maybe this could be the year that they finish fourth. They always seem to have one good season followed by one bad. And yeah, of course, then you got your Bunnies, you got the Roosters. Look, besides the Panthers, Broncos, and the Warriors, and the West Tigers for the Wooden Spoon, of course, flip a coin. I don't know who's going to finish in the top 8. I think it's going to be really close. You might see some surprises. You might see the Dogs make it. You might see the Dragons make it. The Dolphins might make it into the 8. There'll be just one surprise hit, but yeah. But look, I think there's going to be a lot to look forward to, and certainly this is the choice competition right now in the Southern Hemisphere. So yeah, bring it on. And so yeah, that is my NRL preview. It's not really a preview. I mean, probably talking more about the Warriors. But yeah, look, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll do the song so that you'll make sure you like and subscribe. Warriors, go to Warriors. Warriors, go to Warriors. I really need to update this song because Luck and Price are